Thanks, guys. Morning, everybody. It is a big day ahead for President-elect Donald Trump. He will make his first public appearance in 3 weeks. That is also since winning the election with a victory lap of sorts in the nation's heartland. They're calling it a thank you tour as we say thank you for being with us today. Good morning. I'm Bill Hemmer. Welcome to America's Newsroom. How you doing?
Good morning, Bill Hemmer. How are you?
Fantastic.
Good morning, everybody at home. I'm Martha McCallum. So the president-elect will be back in his element as he kicks it all off in Indianapolis. He will meet with workers at a plant that was set to close down and move to Mexico, as you by now have heard. Now, roughly 1,000 jobs were saved in this transaction, and it has turned some of those who may not have been big supporters kind of around. Watch.
I was not a huge Trump supporter. I didn't really know how to take Mr. Trump, but I'm glad that he actually lived up to a promise and stuck with it, and I'll gladly throw some support to him. And if I get a chance to shake his hand tomorrow to thank him for saving my job, I'll gladly do that.
Well, it's going to be an interesting moment to watch, right? Peter Doocy live outside Trump Tower in New York City. So, Peter, these workers obviously were taken a bit by surprise by all this, right?
Big surprise, Martha. I just spoke in the last hour to Chuck Jones, who's the president of the union that represents these workers whose jobs were saved. And he says that he was shocked a deal got done. And he says he was shocked because he's seen 8 or 10 plant closures in the last few years. And once a company, in his experience, decides they're going to move where the labor is cheaper or just close down altogether, they don't change their minds. Jones also told me this morning that keeping about 1,000 workers employed around Indianapolis is going to have a big positive impact on schools and small businesses that would have otherwise been hurting if people had to move or were not spending money while they were jobless. As for Carrier, they are now telling us a little bit more about exactly how the next president convinced them to stop sending these 1,000 or so jobs from Indiana to Monterrey, Mexico. They gave us this statement late last night, quote, "The incoming Trump-Pence administration has emphasized to us its commitment to support the business community and create an improved, more competitive U.S. business climate. The incentives offered by the state were an important consideration." Mr. Trump added a tweet on that where he said he thinks the deal is sweet for Carrier because they're going to sell a lot of air conditioners. And we expect to hear some more details about it when he and the Vice President-elect Mike Pence visit the Carrier plant today for the first stop on their Thank You Victory Tour, and then a little later on tonight at their second stop, which is a big arena in Cincinnati, also part of this Thank You Tour. Martha.
I mean, that's going to be fascinating, and also to see what other deals, like the Carrier one, may be around the corner and the climate that is setting in the country. So in terms of the parade that we see walking in and out of Trump Tower every day, what do we know about what's next on the cabinet list, Peter?
Maybe a few more days into next week before we get another cabinet nomination. And that is because the transition team is apparently waiting to see whether or not it'll be possible for the retired General James Mattis to serve as defense secretary. The snag is that he retired in 2013, but you got to be retired from the military for 7 years to take that job. And our colleague Jennifer Griffin reports the Senate and House Armed Services Committees have already drafted some legislation that could make the Mattis pick work if he is in fact the pick. We also learned last night that a Secretary of State Final Four has become a Final Five. Former UN Ambassador and Fox News contributor John Bolton joining the mix. He'll be here tomorrow for a meeting with the President-elect. Martha.
All right, Peter, thanks.
Peter was at the bus stop for a moment there.
Yeah, I know. Sometimes the bus obscures the view of Trump Tower.
Want to get Chris Stirewalt in right now, Fox News digital policy editor. Chris, good morning to you. Never been done this way before. What does Trump get from a thank you tour, do you think?
Well, I mean, we have to remember that Donald Trump is going to redefine the presidency. This is going to be a different entity when he's done with it. Just as each president leaves his mark, I think Donald Trump's going to leave a very different shape to this. I think he is inhabiting a role that we could call him perhaps the senior executive president. He is clearly comfortable delegating a lot of responsibility to Mike Pence and a couple of other people, maybe Reince Priebus too, as chief of staff. And they're working hard to put together a team that is, by the way, getting a lot of plaudits here in Washington. There is a lot in Washington that people like about the team that Trump's putting together, and Pence gets a lot of credit there. Meantime, Trump sees himself, and he has described himself this way, as the super salesman. He's going to go out and he's going to market their message to the people and then go around the world and market the United States to the rest of the globe. So I think he sees himself as the ultimate decider, the chief executive, yes, but also the salesman.
Okay. Any downside to the tour? Because it's not just Ohio. Eventually it'll be the other states as well.
Well, people get sick of politics, and people get sick of the president. There's a burnout factor. No matter how well-liked they are, no matter how popular they are, there gets to be a point where there's fatigue that sets in. I think this one's good, but the endless campaign, we complain about the endless campaign, and certainly we saw with President Obama, it never ended. There was never even a month, it felt like, where we were sort of out of the effects of a coming election. And the danger here, of course, is if it keeps going, then you never govern. You just continue to campaign.
Yeah, but for now, you got to jump on the moment. I mean, the spark is hot, as they say. So you describe him as the senior executive. I would view him also as the chief cheerleader.
Oh, yeah. Rah, rah, sis, boom, bah. That's really, when you think about what the ingenuity of Trump's Make America Great Again slogan. It doesn't mean anything. There is no policy embedded in that. It's a feeling. And he's out to say, you're gonna feel better, America. You're gonna feel better. And like with this carrier deal, 1,000 jobs ain't a lot of jobs in a country of 325 million people, but 1,000 jobs can be used to create a good feeling, to start a narrative, and that's obviously what Trump's about.
He flipped 6 states that Obama won twice.
True that.
Wisconsin, Michigan, Ohio, Florida, Iowa?
Pennsylvania, Iowa.
Pennsylvania. So eventually he's going to get to all these states in due time. But he has a big decision still to make, and that is Secretary of State. What do you think of the public dance with Mitt Romney? It is my sense that he's really trying to figure out whether or not he can make this work. What do you think?
Well, I'm happy that they have reminded America that frog legs are delicious, and I think that's important because they are. But the other thing that it does for Trump is it shows that he is willing to listen to other people. Now, you have to be careful. Romney has been a very gracious gentleman. He has, despite having obviously some very strong feelings about Donald Trump's character, he has said only nice things about Trump. He has come in vassalage to Trump twice to visit him at his country club and then to go to his hotel for dinner and to be there and play this supplicant role. There's a limit, though. You can do that a couple of times. At a certain point, it's time to either fish or cut bait, and Trump probably needs to go ahead and move to the decision phase of this particular part of the reality show.
All in time, right? Make frog legs great again, will you, sir, in Washington? We've done our part in New York. See you soon. Chris Stirewalt in D.C., thank you.
Bicycle.
So as we've been saying, it's a big day ahead for President-elect Trump, who will be with us here as well today. We're going to have live coverage of Mr. Trump's rally in Cincinnati, a kickoff of his thank you tour, and full coverage at 7 p.m. Eastern. And then Sean Hannity will broadcast live tonight from Cincinnati with an exclusive interview with President-elect Trump and Vice President-elect Mike Pence. Not a bad get for this evening, 10 o'clock Eastern time. A powerful primetime lineup all here right on Fox News Channel. Where else would you be
that's
tonight
right.
from 9 to 10, but watching in your hometown of Cincinnati, Ohio, as it's broadcast across the nation on Fox News.
Mid-October, 3 weeks for the election, he went to the same arena, U.S. Bank Arena, and the place was packed, and they went nuts. It was sold out, 10,000 plus. So we'll see what sort of reaction we get tonight there, and you'll watch it live tonight here on.
You know, I have a theory that post-election, I see more Trump stickers than I saw before the election. I think that some people who voted for it slapped the sticker on the car after the fact. So I bet it's going to be a very huge turnout tonight in Donald Trump's language. So we'll be watching that exciting.